Okay, alright, I'm not gonna stop getting questions about this, so I might as well make a video about it, even if it's just me looking into the camera. I was gonna not have to move the camera, for one. I was gonna do something a bit more complex, I guess, but fuck it. You know, it's just me talking. Everyone keeps asking me what I thought about E3, and I guess I understand why. I was about to ask, why do you keep asking me that? But, you know, I understand why. You know, I make game reviews, you know. Everyone wants to hear my thoughts on things. It's just that because of things that you kind of, sort of, I've told you about in general, not everything, but enough that you would get this. I can't be asked to give one single goddamn shit about video games lately. I am so focused on working over 40 hours a week, for the most part, and trying to finish my novel, which is nearing completion for those of you that care. I just don't care. Like, I play video games occasionally now, but, like, that's the reason why you haven't seen a review from me, because I just haven't been focused on that. You know, there's too many other more important things. Like E3 is such a I just look at it and I'm like, oh my god, I have so many more important things to worry about than a fucking game convention. Especially when, like, my big issue with E3 has also been, it's always surrounded by people willing, ready and willing to argue and bitch about whatever it may be, even if it's the smallest, shit. People complain about everything. Just like really stupid crap. If you're, of course the screen went off. If you have to ask me, getting to E3, if you have to really ask me what I thought about E3, I thought overall it was really good this year. There wasn't really a really, bad point in general. I mean, I could think of, some things that were kind of a little lacking, but overall, I think everyone did a good job. People were like, oh, who won? I'm like, I don't really care, because it's so mixed right now, because the thing about this E3 is because basically everyone did a good job. The winner is determined by who had the most games that you personally care about. Therefore, this is arguably one of the most opinionated E3s in the history of ever. For example, personally, I vastly preferred Microsoft's E3 because they had several games that I genuinely would like to play. The Master Chief Collection being one of those big things. But in addition, the new Phantom Dust has me ecstatic, because that game was awesome. The fact that they're making another one is fantastic news, to say the least. That's not also including the fact they showed off a teaser for the next Tomb Raider sequel, which is so beyond exciting for me, you wouldn't believe. Again, that was like, it was funny. Microsoft had the one thing that actually got me to care a little bit. Was, with Tomb Raider, specifically, because Tomb Raider is so near and dear to my heart as a series that even in my current state of mind, I actually gave a shit about that. As for the teaser, people ask me what I thought of it. It's really hard for me to judge right now, because we basically saw nothing. All we really know is that it's a game, and Lara's going to be doing Lara stuff. And it's a sequel to the reboot, and that's about it. Like, I could overanalyze it, but until we see gameplay, I can't really say much. But Microsoft did a really good job this year. I mean, they focused on the games. They're doing work. Their new, I forget his name, but the new guy in charge is doing a great job. So full marks for Microsoft. Sony also did a pretty good job. The only thing, like I would say that was, questionable about them. Actually, I'll get the negatives later. I'll just leave negatives so that Sony did a good job. I mean, I didn't care about most of the games they showed. I don't like Little Big Planet. Uncharted 3 made me so unbelievably angry that Uncharted 4 has me. I am so not willing to play Uncharted 4. And a lot of the other stuff they showed were like serious multi-platform games, or I think they showed two straight up ports, like GTA 5 and Last of Us ports, from the PS3. So I didn't feel like Sony had a lot going for it this year. Not as much as last year anyway. But again, that's an opinion. Like, I didn't see a lot that I cared about. The Order actually disappointed me a little bit. I didn't really like what I saw. Like, it was a very pretty game, but the cinematic nature sort of bothered me a little bit. Then there was this other game that didn't really show much. People were like really excited about it because there was like a guy with an axe and he was hitting people, and that's relevant. I don't know. Like they didn't really have anything that really jumped out at me. Like had they had something like something bigger, like this is unlikely, but like had they announced another God of War game, that would have gotten me interested immediately because I freaking love that series. But Sony didn't really appeal to me this year. However, a lot of people did like what they had. So Sony did a good job, regardless. Ubisoft and EA did about what they usually do. I mean, people were like, well, like, EA sucked. But everyone says EA sucks every single goddamn year. So I'm not sure why that matters. Like, I've stopped actually caring about that. I've heard that, they spent too much time on sports games, but A, there's an audience for that. B, it's almost like EA has, like, an entire division devoted to sports games or something crazy like that. I don't know what you expected. And for the most part, EA and Ubisoft are often the weaker of the E3 lineup anyway. So I almost consider them outliers, and I don't really care much about them personally. As for Nintendo, people really like Nintendos. I personally don't care nearly as much, but that's only because they didn't really announce much of anything that I care about besides Bayonetta 2 and the new Super Smash Bros. Everything else, I'm not a big Zelda fan. What else did they announce? I don't even remember. That frickin' splatter game. I forget what it's called. The one with the third-person shooter where you throw paint everywhere. People are really excited about this one, and I did not see the appeal personally. It looked, I don't know. I like. It's gonna sound really fucking petty, and I know it is, and I know instantly what you're gonna think, that I'm being an elitist, asshole about it, and I'm, super duper COD fanboy. I need everything hardcore, but I'm sorry, the game looked way too kiddie for my tastes. I'm not gonna say the game's gonna be bad. I'm sure plenty of you will enjoy it, but for me, I just can't get into games like that. That sort of art style really is jarring for me. I'm not really wild about it. I mean, I'm a Halo guy. When it comes to shooters, that's how I operate. This game not really for me. A lot of people seem to really like it though. So, hopefully when it comes out it'll be good and you guys will enjoy it. I mean, I'm not gonna bash it at all. My point is that Nintendo, again, compared to the others, Microsoft specifically for me, didn't have enough that I personally cared about, but again, showed a lot of really good stuff that a lot of people seem to really like. So my point, ultimately, is that everyone did a good job this year. So that's really my thoughts on E3. Like, I mean, I guess you could ask about specific games, but like, I mean, I don't even know where I would begin on that. Like, there was, trying to think of what, I mean, other than what Microsoft announced to Sony now, I sort of like, but I guess I should get in the negatives. Alright, what was bad about this E3? I just told you that it was good, but now you want me to complain. I know you do. Of course you fucking do. Alright, well, there was one complaint about Microsoft specifically that really bugs me personally, because I don't really consider it a negative at all. Because I don't understand why this would be even remotely a bad thing. So there's a group of gamers that are really angry that Microsoft is putting Conker in Project Spark to be used to make games, because Project Spark does. It's a game creator for the user. I've played the beta. It's actually a lot of fun. It's actually quite good. But then they're going to add Conker as a character that you can utilize, so people can actually make their own Conker games. And people are angry about this. Why? That's great. That's... Why would you be angry about that? Now you can go in and make your own Conker game. That's a good thing. I think people are mad they're not making a Conker game, but let's be realistic. How many fucking times has Microsoft let Rare try to, remake one of their old N64 classics and had it not be good? I do not blame Microsoft for any stretch of the imagination to not really be willing to do that from a financial perspective. Like, every time they let Rare do that, it's been it hasn't worked. Every single Sonic time. Why do you think Killer Instinct is not being made by Rare? And that game is good for a reason. I know a lot of like really hardcore N64 fans love Rare specifically, but I for one, I've never really liked Rare's games personally. I'm trying to think of one I liked. I would say Donkey Kong 64, but I only liked that like when I was 5, or well, I was more like 9, and I've played it more recently, and it's actually not nearly as fun as I remember it being. Point being that I'm not really a big fan of Rare's games personally. Never have been, and I'm certainly not a fan of lower quality versions of said games that were good at the time. So I think it's a perfectly reasonable move by Microsoft to do this. Like, at least they're using the character. At least, gamers will be able to access him and use him in Project Spark, which is a free-to-play game. I should probably, reiterate that. I don't see anything wrong with this. As for the negatives of Microsoft, I can't really think of much. I mean, other than, if you're an idiot, oh, they showed COD, 'cause that's bad, or something. I like COD, I really get annoyed every time people bitch about COD. It's like, I hate COD. Why do you hate COD? 'Cause it's popular. Please, spare me. Anyway, negative things for Sony. The only thing bad about Sony is, I would say, is they spend a lot of time talking about, like, alternate like features with the PS4, like with the TV and stuff, things like that. Stuff that really they didn't really need to show off that much of. I didn't mind them talking about it, but they spent a lot of time, like an entire segment on it. And I wasn't really fond of that personally. It's starting to feel a little bit like the Xbox One reveal at one point. They they talked about the frickin' movies for a long time, and then they went into the indie games, and I know some of you really like the indie games, but for me, I just feel like they spent way too much time toting these indie games, and a lot of them don't even look that good. They just look really basic, which is always my big issue with a lot of like indie developers. All the games they make are like really basic stuff, like stuff that that you could play on an NES to a certain extent, depending on what kind of game it is. There was nothing that was like, wow, that looks really amazing, beyond like the more high-end stuff, like what the fuck was that space game? They showed it towards the end. It's an indie game, but it was a I don't remember what it's called. You're in a spaceship. You can explore loads of planets. It's that one. That one looks good. But I mean, I have a problem with the notion that we should support indie games just for being indie games. That bothers me. Because I am perfectly willing to support any developer as long as the product they're working on is something worthwhile. But if your product is another goddamn dime a dozen 8-bit platformer that I've seen a gajillion motherfucking times from indie developers, I'm sorry, I cannot be asked to care anymore. And I just feel like Sony's pushing the indies a bit too forward, as if they had nothing else to show. Other than that, they were fine. I mean, that's a relatively minor issue, and some people really like the fact they showed the indie games. So, that's great, no problem. Again, this is a very opinionated E3. Nintendo negative points. I didn't really see much wrong with what Nintendo did personally. I think they spent too much time showing off certain games, but other than that, my only beef with Nintendo, I have two beefs with Nintendo. One stupid and personal, and one I think everyone can kind of agree with me on. The one that everyone kind of agree with me on is they didn't really show like anything involving Star Fox, even though they're working on it. I personally don't give a shit about any new Star Fox games because I have in my life enjoyed exactly 2 Star Fox games. The original on the Super Nintendo, and Star Fox Adventures, which is oddly a rare game, one of the few I enjoyed. I didn't like 64. I definitely didn't like Command. Command sucked. And I never played Assault. Or the remake of 64, because I don't like 64. Point being, you know, Star Fox in me is funny, so I'm not really too, you know, interested in the Wii U version. I'm sure it'll be good, but I'm just like, whatever. But that's a huge franchise. They didn't show, like, anything. Maybe it's not ready, but I would have liked to see at least a little bit, you know, something more worthwhile, other than, because basically all they did was sit there and say, yeah, we're working on Star Fox. Now you know. And that's it. And I'm just like, oh, that was informative. The other thing, and the stupid thing, the personal thing with me, I really need some Metroid over here. I can't handle the fact that the most recent Metroid game was Other M. All right, I am not able to live with that knowledge in my brain. I'm sorry, I can't handle this. I need another Metroid game. Metroid Prime 4, maybe? I know it was supposed to be a trilogy, but that was a really good series. You know, another side-scroller? Really, any other type of Metroid game that isn't called Other M? Because, Jesus Christ, you know, baby, fucking... You go into the heat area with your fucking shield turned off because I'm Adam and I give the orders and I'm an idiot. Or something. I really had a lot of problems with Other M. I really was hoping for another Metroid game this year, is what I'm trying to say. And they didn't announce one. And I was sad, unfortunately. So, but other than that, E3, I mean, I think the best thing about this year's E3 was that there was something for everyone. You know, no matter what team you happen to play for, Microsoft delivered for me. PS4 owners seem very happy with what Sony showed, and Nintendo fans are ecstatic that there's a new Zelda game and are really excited for the new IP for the Wii U. I mean, everyone did exactly what they should have done this year. And as for who won E3, I don't think it really matters. The fact is, everyone did good. And that is the best thing that could have possibly happened for E3. Because, you know, I mean, we could have had another disaster. We could have had, you know, Always Online or Ridge Racer all over again. Giant Enemy Crab. Oh my god, you know, people get Microsoft for that, for the fucking initial Xbox One policies. But I don't think anyone has topped fucking Ridge Racer and Giant Enemy Crab, because that was legendary for me. Although Nintendo had that Wii Music thing. That was pretty bad too. Anyway, but that's about all I gotta say about E3. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Now you know what I think about it. I'm gonna go write my novel now. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.